let's talk about some of these guys here. And let's start out with number 5 on our list here. And a lot of these guys have been projected in the top 5, top 6. Different mock drafts have different guys popping up here, depending on who's grading them out. But let's start with Eamon Thompson here, coming in at number 5. Now, Eamon Thompson, he is a nice guard here. We have 2 guys here that are from the G League. Now, he's very athletic, he can be a human highlight. You're going to see a lot of that trending in some of these top guys that we're going to be covering, is the fact that they can just explode with athleticism. Ball handling and versatility is another area where this guy thrives. But overall, he has been a player averaging 16.3 points, 6.2 assists, 6.4 rebounds, and 2.4 steals in his time with the overtime elite in the G League. A lot of people project him to go like 5 or 6 in this draft. We have him here just as our 5th player, but athlete is kind of the name of the game for this kid. He's a playmaker. He can turn steals into and defensive rebounds into instant offense. So outlet passes and transition points are massive with this player, and he's going to be very good. Ball pressure, defensively, moving laterally, navigating screens, showing great fundamentals. So I think that those are the areas where he excels. Where he doesn't quite excel as much is going to be the teams kind of let him shoot a little bit. They do. I mean, he's kind of a liability, not necessarily. He can hit shots, but teams will let him shoot a little bit more and say, hey, like, prove to me that you're going to hit these shots. Spot ups are not his specialty, but those things that you can potentially develop. I think he's going to be a work in progress from a shooting standpoint, but overall, very athletic. He can definitely make the right plays in help situations. He's rotating on defense, and he could just make those transition points off of his defensive abilities and athleticism. So, Scotty, what are your thoughts on Eamon Thompson, which, by the way, his brother's in this draft, who's going probably either a spot or 2 below him in this draft as well. Asar Thompson, projected at 7 or 8 in this draft. So, he plays for overtime elite as well. So there you go.
Weird. They play for the same team.
Weird. Morris, like the Morris twins.
I have like a projection in front of me that has his brother as the number 4 prospect and him as 5. So depending on where you look, they're different. They're the same. They're literally both 6'6", and they both have a 7-foot wingspan. They're the
same guy. Are they going to compete who gets drafted first?
They are separated by 4 pounds, so that's a big difference there. But let's talk about Eamon. Could be the answer to a lot of teams' prayers, Chris.
Amen to that.
That was too easy and embarrassing at the same time. Listen, you start with athleticism. Crazy athlete, great athlete. You have no questions that he can do things on the defensive side, at least as far as with the wingspan of 7 feet, the height of 6'6" as a guard. Human highlight reel, great ball handler, can probably guard multiple positions. You kind of nailed it though. And quite frankly, he's a good playmaker. Like, he has good court knowledge, awareness. Goes through like different reads and even distributes well. Had a good true shooting percentage at 60.8. That's pretty decent for his age and playing in that league. So, the concern is like, listen, he hasn't proven he can hit a deep shot, and that's a big deal in today's NBA, right? Like, for a guy that's going to be an elite athlete, everyone's going to go under screens. They're going to make him prove that he can make the shot. He's not proven to be a good jump shooter. He's not proven to be a good free throw shooter in this stage of the game. So that's something he'd have to improve, and it doesn't. I've seen some projections where like they don't have a lot of confidence that he will ever get to being even an average like shooter in the league. If he gets to average with that athleticism, he's a big plus. Big plus. But you love a lot of the aspects. If you're drafting him, you're drafting him with the thought that maybe you have, shooting coaches or stuff like that that can correct that shot a little bit. Because if you do that, he doesn't really have a weakness, Chris. And he's going to be an all-star in this league for a long time.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, obviously, it'll be interesting to see who goes higher. I mean, either way, that
twin or him.
The fact that, I mean, how cool would it be though?
Twins, right? They're twins.
Yeah. I mean, how cool would it be to have your family watching a draft where you and your brother are getting drafted within probably a couple spots of each other? That's wild, and both top 10 picks potentially. That's
why I have 2 sons, Chris. I can't wait for them.
Get them all.
Yeah. Obviously, both my sons are going to the league.
Yeah.
Just me standing at a solid 6 feet tall.
Yeah. I mean,
there's nothing about my game that doesn't speak to my kids making to the NBA.
I mean, they're gonna be guards probably.
Yeah, no, definitely guards. They're open once they cross half court, just like I was.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hey, Steph Curry ain't big, and he's a legend. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's the touch. They will be the battery for the Rockies one day. Says Cuban. There you go. Next up, Cam Whitmore, Villanova forward, 6'6", 235, 6'8" wingspan. Very athletic. I have a player comp here to like a Miles Bridges style of a player. Explodes off the dribble. This guy, versatile. I mean, again, when I said the theme of these guys, a lot of them is athleticism. It's that range of that theme of this NBA draft. He's got that dog in him. We saw a lot of Villanova basketball, averaging 12.5 points, 34.3% from three, 5.3 rebounds, 1.4 steals over his career. But very versatile, active cutter, looks for opportunities to sneak past people, get those lob threats in the paint. Has tools to be an off-ball defender, but like still needs to improve that a little bit. More of a on-ball defender, more so than off-ball defender overall. Even though he's decent shooting from 3-point, I think he's still. I'm still kind of wanting to see that be a little bit more consistent. But good rebounder, has very versatile attributes when it comes to being on-ball defenders and stopper upside. Sometimes I feel like he has a chance to like get the ball and the ball kind of stops with him. He's kind of like he can be potentially a black hole and then maybe forces up some bad shots. But either way, the fact that he can just attack the rim and be a very athletic player for any team that drafts him, I think gives him some decent qualities here. But still things he needs to work on.
I mean, he's young. Played, not even 19 years old yet. About to be 19 years old.
Yep.
Had some moments, has a lot of athletic traits, positional versatility, all of those things. He kind of reminds me, honestly, Chris, as like a Christian Brown. What I fear with Cam Whitmore is he's going to be drafted way higher than Christian Brown. And you're going to...
Expectations.
I feel like he's going to go top 10. You're going to have big expectations. And this is a guy that's more like a glue piece to me for a team. Not a guy that can ever maybe take over and be like, your number 1 or number 2 even option. He seems more like a 3 or 4 guy, like a Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets or a Christian Brown down the road, where hasn't proven to shoot great. I mean, he shot 34% from 3 as a freshman. That's not terrible, but and took 4 attempts, so wasn't shy about shooting him. So he's okay from 3. Didn't do a lot much else. I like him as a player. I just think he's gonna get drafted really high with really big expectations from day one, which you got to be patient with him. He's, like I said, not 19 years old yet. Still got a lot to learn. I do think he's like mentality wise got, the aggressive nature, gonna take it to him. There's a lot of things to like about him. I love his personality. I love his athletic traits. Shooting has gotta still come into the projection. Just like a lot of these kids that are that young, So it's not that he can't do it. We just don't know. Like a lot of guys figure it out and some don't,
Yeah.
So he's gonna be picked high, and I worry that the team's gonna fans are gonna revolt around him where he's not a big contributor early on, but down the road he could be a nice piece for a team for sure. Like third or fourth best player on a title winning team, I could see that.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna fit into that slot of a role player at some for the most part of his career. I don't see him being like a star on a team.
Don't just throw the ball to him and get out of the way. He's not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
All right, next up, we have Scoot, probably the best name in the draft. Scoot Henderson.
Scott. I think it's Scott. Just kidding. It's fine.
He spells it wrong then. He spells his own name wrong? He spells it wrong? Scoot Henderson, G League Ignite. Point guard, 6'2", 195. He has the wingspan 6'9" wingspan, 19 years of age, 16.5 points in the G League, 6.5 assists, 1 steal, 3-point percentage, 27.5. So Scoot, he is an athlete. We said it again, athlete. He's a human highlight reel. I don't know if you guys have seen some of his highlight tape, but
he's already grown. He's a grown man.
He's a grown man. He's high flying, and he is. I mean, we have a player comp athletically like a Russell Westbrook style, just jumping all over the place, dunking.
He's thicker than Russ.
He's thicker and bigger than Russ. So he's a great finisher at the rim. He doesn't even need space to dunk, and he can figure out ways to dunk. He's ambidextrous, so he can touch shots off the glass, reverses, layups, all different angles with both hands. He's off the dribble. He can shoot a little bit. 42.4% of his pull-up twos during the 2021-2022 season. Kind of drops off a little bit as you get a little bit further in those deep twos. 31.3% of his dribbles.
Lakers in 5.
P3. Hey, you're a little
no doubt. You're closing that out in 5.
I think the Lakers still have a chance in this playoffs. Don't if you're
don't rule them out.
Don't rule them out. Thank you for the bit.
There's a guy on ESPN that gave him 100% chance to make the final.
And if they don't win, they're going to be the best team to never win. 100%.
Certainly to be swept.
Best team to ever be.
But they would never be swept because they're too good.
Oh, Cuban Bay, he's thick. Yeah, he's thick. And he's a spicy playmaker. I mean, he can do isolations, pick and rolls. He has a feel for drawing defenders open, getting open opportunities for teammates. I mean, pretty much he is just a freak athlete that can do a lot. He's better in off-ball situations defensively, but still on ball, I think he can just, force some turnovers, steals, things along those lines. He's flying around everywhere. Basically, just the types of shots that he takes are kind of the big thing that you want to keep an eye on. Sometimes he can get a little bit trigger happy and kind of take over and just make take too many shots that might not be ideal shots in the given certain situation. So shot selection is kind of a situation where he wants to probably improve a little bit, but overall there's a reason why teams are trying to figure out ways to trade up and get into the top 3 of this draft to potentially take a look at Scoot.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors out there that the New Orleans Pelicans want him and
which is interesting with Zion or Ingram, which they say they'd rather keep Ingram and trade Zion.
I've heard way more Zion. Obviously, there's drama, health. Zion, when he plays, though, is so efficient. I don't know if I'd label him as dominant, but he's efficient. He's kind of like shooting wise, he's kind of like Joker. Like he may not take a ton of shots. He might take 15 shots in the game, but he's gonna make 10 of those. Like, and it's efficient and it's hard to guard, but again, he's not like Joker in the sense that he's hurt all the time and he's got some baby mama drama.
Yep.
Scoot's gonna be a top 3 pick. He's gonna go 2 or 3. Right now it feels like I've heard rumors that he's gonna fall to 3 just because of positional value, and I think Charlotte has the number 2, and they already got LaMelo Ball, so maybe that fit with Scoot doesn't make sense, and they want to go a little bigger with a guy we'll talk about a little later. But Scoot's built. He's ready to go. My biggest concern with him actually isn't like his shot selection. Like he's playing in the G League, and he's 18. Well, he's 19 years old. Like he's gonna have bad shot selection because he's trying to profile himself. So I don't worry about that. The body's nice. He's 6'2" though. He's a crazy long wingspan, 6'9" wingspan, but 6'2" is a little. That's short. That's small in the NBA now, even for a point guard. That's not. You're undersized as a point guard at 6'2". So there's a lot of traits there. I think he'll figure out the shot. The motion is pretty good. I think that will come with time. I love Scoot. I think Scoot's going to be a really, really good player in this league and should be a top 3 pick in this draft and will go top 3, quite frankly. There's not a lot to like outside of like slightly undersized, but other than that, and obviously, like we've said with everyone, has to improve their shooting stroke, but like that comes with time. And yeah. I like he has a good, everything looks right. He has the right procedure. Like he's gonna be fine. He'll figure it out. Will he be like a elite shooter in the league? No, but with that athleticism, he'll be a better shooter than Russell Westbrook. I'll say that right now. You said shades of Russell Westbrook. He reminds me, Russell. Throw D Rose in there. He's a little like shades of like the MVP days of Derrick Rose. Like he can be that good. This is a guy that could theoretically be an MVP of the league if he reaches his ceiling. So, lots to like about Scott Henderson. I like it better as
Scott Henderson. Just add another T at the end.
He looks like a Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
Scooty A. Smith.
Scooty A. Smith. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, there you go. Next up, number 2, Brandon Miller out of Alabama. 6'9".
Oh, boy.
200 pounds. Wingspan of 6'11". Averaging 18.8 points per game. 8 rebounds, 0.9 blocks. But interestingly enough, we've talked a lot about athleticism, but here's a guy that has a little bit of a shooting strength in his game. And shooting 38.4% from 3 over the course of his career. Pretty solid elite shot maker who has like the off movement threes, handoff, pick and pops. He can do a little bit of anything from the shooting side of things. Off the dribble, high arching shots can really be very valuable when you have some bigger defenders to, kind of shoot over those guys in the NBA. He's a decent passer. He can make passes that typically you don't see guys make from that position.
Passes off balls and guns.
And he can pass a lot of things off.
Yeah.
For sure. A lot of assists in a lot of ways.
Bruh.
He's a decent off-ball defender as well. Crafty ball handler. Overall, I think he's definitely a guy that you want to target if you want to get those shots off. Yeah. Anyways, he has some drama with him. There's some minuses with him, and there's some things that have been questions. He's had the issue with the passing off the gun thing in college. He's had the immaturity issue of the introductions. We're getting after dark, Cuban. We're at that point in the show where he just, maybe some of the decision making not only on the court, but off the court could potentially be something to keep an eye on over the course of his NBA career. What happens when he gets a lot of money? How's he going to be in team scenarios? Like, I mean, we don't want to be seeing another John Morant situation happening, and the NBA doesn't either. But besides that, I think he needs to, when we talk about athleticism with some of the other guys, I think his burst and some of his off the dribble kind of just speed and agility kind of take a backseat to some of the other guys we've already talked about. I think he needs to get a little stronger. I think he's a little weak when it comes to getting into the paint, making some things happen inside the 3-point line. But yeah, I mean, he's been a little injured. He was injured in March Madness a little bit. We saw some of that come to play. But other than that, if you take away a lot of the drama with what's going on with Brandon Miller, and you can get a lot of that playmaking and shooting ability, you might have a nice piece, a nice, player who can help you hit some big shots when it really matters.
This guy's Paul George reincarnate. Like
Paul George,
right? Like like I've never seen a player that's more of a accurate fit to another player in the league than Brandon Miller to Paul George.
Yeah. Very similar.
Very similar. I make fun of, and we talk about, and I joke, well, not joke, but talk about the off the court stuff. But I don't actually think that's a huge concern moving forward. I think part of that was wrong place, wrong time. Hopefully he's learned from it. I think he has. I think he's smarter than Ja, obviously. And he's learned from it. And I don't worry so much about Brandon Miller off the court moving forward. On the court, maybe never an elite athlete, but just a good basketball player, Chris. Paul George, maybe shades of Carmelo, honestly, if you wanna go that route, shades of Melo with the smooth nature, the small forward type, shot maker, pretty good from all spots on the court. Shot 38%, from three in his freshman season at Alabama, and had to offensively a lot of times carry that team. So, I mean, he was shooting a lot. So to shoot 38% when you're taking 7.5 threes per game is pretty damn impressive as a freshman. So the shot making's there. Let's go.
All right.
I mean,
Niran, and welcome in. How are you doing? Who's your team and where you're from? We like to get to know you a little bit. Welcome to the Action Lab. My name is Chris. This is Scott. We're your hosts. We're here live every Wednesday and Sunday. So good to have you in. Doing a little NBA draft preview. So and then we're gonna finish up with one more segment here coming up. But we have our number one player coming up here. So what were you saying about
ultimately Miller? The rumors right now are he's gonna fall, or he's gonna go number 2 overall to Charlotte, based off of need and want. And I'm fine with Miller going 2. I don't think, obviously we haven't seen a lot of Scoot in person. I've heard a lot about Scoot and how good he looks. So there's 3 clear-cut picks in this draft. And I think there's some really, really good players right after that. But the top 3, I'd be shocked if it doesn't go Wembanyama, Miller,
Scoot,
Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah, and that
seems like the order right now. Who's picking all those spots? I mean, especially with number 3, a lot of people think there's rumors out there that Portland's going to try and move that to get a more veteran presence that can help, with Dame to win right now rather than resetting the clock and taking a rookie. But whether that happens or not, or we're going to get into that in a second, but free agency, but or trades, but it'll be interesting. It's wild how quick the draft happens when your team wins the title, Chris.
It's
all of a sudden it's 10 days away.
Yeah. It's close. By the way, Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, and Scoot Henderson in that order is minus 230 in Vegas to be the number 1, 2, and 3 overall picks. The second best odds before it balloons to plus 4,000 is Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller.
Right. those guys are going top 3 with Victor going 1. I now that you said that, I might lay a bet on that minus money with that 1, 2, 3 of Victor 1, Miller
Brent.
2, Scoot 3.
Hey. Hey, Niren, thank you. Chi-Town, the Bulls are my team. White Sox and Bears, all Chicago, baby. Love it. We don't have too many Chicago folks in here. So you are going to be representing strong for Chicago, and rightfully so. So, hey, it's good to have you. We'll be talking a lot of NFL come the NFL season. There's a lot of moves happening. There's training camps. There's everything coming up. So it's good to have you in leading up to the NFL season. Obviously, we are always talking hoops and baseball, you name it. We got it all covered. So join our Discord, and we also have some socials here that if you want to join in, we're always talking sports on our Discord, but Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok are kind of the big ones. We're from Colorado, so we're big Denver fans outside of Scotty as a Chiefs fan. But otherwise, we're all Colorado teams here in the Action Lab.
Just makes me sound like I just chose greatness.
Yeah, it is.
The Chiefs fan
You just
my whole
stumbled
life.
across being a Chiefs fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
My whole life.
All right, and that leads us to our number 1, and it's not even close. He's currently minus 50,000 to go first because he is supposedly a generational talent, which Victor Wembanyama, center out of France, playing for the Metropolitans. Yeah, the Metropolitans.
Is he a center?
I mean,
he's not a center in the league. Not right now. He's got to get thicker if he wants to be a center.
I mean, you got Chet Holmgren playing center.
No, he's not.
He's not.
They're
gonna stock him and play center.
Chet Holmgren hasn't played a game yet. So
well, I mean, he's gonna probably play. I mean, if you're 7'4", you're 7'4".
Welcome,
7'4" power forward.
Welcome to the Western Conference division, where you at 230 pounds, you're gonna face Jokic and just get absolutely dominated if you're playing center. No, he's gonna be powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I know he's 7'4", but
that's a massive.
Can he play minutes at center? Yes, but 7'4", 230. What's ironic about all of Victor Wembanyama is everything last year was about Chet Holmgren being but he's really skinny and he's injury prone, and that could be a concern. And then of course he gets injured and misses the whole season. No one talks about that with Victor.
Well,
Victor's skinny as hell. He's a little thicker than Chet, but everyone is.
He's thicker than Chet, and he actually has a strength coach that they know. Let's go.
Welcome to the party, Roshar.
Roche, what's going on, Roche? Hope you had a great stream. Hope you enjoyed your night, guys. Welcome in. Congrats to the Nuggets. Hey, we representing the world champions, baby. That's what we do here in the Action Lab. Thank you, Roche. Guys, shout out to Roshacker. If you're not giving him a follow, I don't know what you're doing. He's fantastic. He's always got some amazing content, sports talk, you name it. So go give him some love. He's our fellow Raiders fan here. So hey,
what do you mean by fellow Raiders fan?
Well, we have a couple Raiders fans in our community that can share that love. But guys, welcome in again. My name is Chris. This is Scott. We are your hosts for the Action Lab, your premier sports entertainment talk show, and we are live every Wednesday, Sunday, and also Thursdays. We'll be live for the NBA draft next Thursday. So just talking about preview of Victor Wembanyama, and then I have a little segment talking a little bit more about him here. So don't you go anywhere. But Victor Wembanyama, I was saying he's got a strength coach who he understands the fact that this was in a documentary I saw recently where he understands that big dudes his size are notoriously injury prone. So he's doing everything he can with his feet, with his calves, all of these things to stay on the court. And obviously he's got to bulk up a little bit with some of the other NBA bigs in the league, like a Nikola Jokic. We saw that in the NBA Finals, just mowing over everybody, regardless of their size.
Jokic would put up 40 on 15 shots against this guy right now, currently. And I love Wembanyama.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
I think also
he can't guard. Well,
it's going to be tough guarding
guard
Wembanyama too.
sometimes.
It's going to be interesting guarding him with that. I mean, with how high he gets up with the ball, no player with an 8-foot wingspan, no player is going to be able to contest any shots that this
You
guy
could have just stopped at no player has an 8-foot wingspan in the league. I'm pretty sure he might be the only one.
He's 7'4", 230 with an 8-foot wingspan. And my player comp, I mean, the player comps to this kid, there's not really a player comp. There's not really a good one. I mean, I've seen a player comp of Gen Z Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I've seen my player comp here, a 7'4" Kevin Durant. I've seen, there's not like a true player comp for a guy like this. And so it's like, you have to bend the rules on player comps because there's nothing like this that we've seen enter the league. I mean, this guy is absolutely, he's an interior scorer. He can shoot from the perimeter. He's 7'3", he's unblockable, and he's spot up from three. Very, very good. 21.2 points average, 3 blocks, 10 rebounds, and he can just do a little bit of everything. His handles for being a guy his size. I know we say like Kevin Durant's got handles, and for a guy his size, but this is very similar where it looks really awkward, but yet he's in control. He's got floaters. He can hit behind, shot, stepaways and fadeaways and turnarounds inside the paint, outside the paint. When I'm looking at the list of positives, it's this long, whereas the negatives are like this long. It's kind of crazy to think.
All right.
What's up, Psycho Imp? Psycho.
Thank you, Psycho.
Who's your team and where you're from? Like to get to know you a little bit. Welcome to the Action Lab. Good to have you. He can rebound. He can take the ball off the court. We talk about point centers. He's easy.
Cuban makes a good point here, Chris.
Oh, he does have a weakness. He's French. There you go.
Yeah, that's a big
yeah. Seriously. But
he's gonna get bullied a little bit early on. That doesn't mean down the road he's not gonna be fine. A lot of people talk him as the best NBA prospect in decades or maybe ever. Chris.
Some people say
talking better
ever.
than LeBron.
Some people say ever over LeBron. And what is is that's social media thing, because if you're talking about the LeBron James hype, his hype came from being on ESPN as a high school athlete, right? Like, he was a guy, they didn't have the same social media, TikToks and Twitter and everything else back when LeBron James was coming out. So you didn't really have the same idea. The hype came from the fact that he was on ESPN. This kid is getting, views all over the internet, all over the world. So I think that's where the hype gets taken to a different level than what we would normally say is like a normal thing from the olden days.
Psycho in the chat. I'm from Chicago. MLB, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Bulls.
There you go.
Chicago Sky, Chicago Blackhawks, Chicago Bears.
Another one.
All the Chicago teams except for the Cubs. Fuck the Cubs, obviously.
Get the Cubs out of here. Get them out.
Roger.
We don't need them here.
Hey. Ooh,
Let's go.
Patrick Mahomes girl. What's going on? By the way, we have
Marone.
We finally made it.
We
We're
made
only gonna
it.
Talk about Mahomes the rest of
the show.
all of the streams.
Oh.
All of the streams.
Hey, Patrick Mahomes girl. Welcome in. Who's your team and where you're from? Are you from Chicago as well? We got a string of Chicago folks rolling in. It's fantastic. I hate the Cubs.
Chicago was supposed to pick Mahomes, and then they took Trubisky instead.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I mean,
It would be funny if Mahomes came in. Yeah, I'm a Broncos fan.
I think Mahomes girl and I are gonna be getting along pretty well. Chris.
Scotty's a Chiefs fan. He loves all his Denver sports, but he's a Chiefs fan otherwise. But
I don't love the Broncos.
no, he does not. I love all my Colorado teams. And I have one team outside of Colorado that I like as well, but that's about it. The Mets are the only other team. But welcome in. Good to have you in. Yeah, I wanted Mahomes, but they went with Trubisky.
You win some, you lose some. That was a big loss, but a gain for me. So I honestly, in retrospect, should be a Bears fan for them picking the wrong quarterback. Just in that scenario.
They also have Ryan Poles.
Actually from Kansas City.
GM.
And I don't really watch sports other than football, but yes, I am a Chiefs fan. Okay, well you're welcome here. By the way, we have a lot of...
I was born in Kansas City as well.
Yeah.
Mahomes girl.
By the way, we got a lot of ladies in the chat here in the Action Lab. A lot of our ladies represent strong in the Action Lab community. So you're going to feel right at home with all the others. I mean, Diacola, football wife, Riley, Dr. J, Amanda Lorian, all of them. We represent strong. So, but yeah, so again, I think like we're holding our breath with Victor Wembanyama when it comes to health. He's already suffered a fibula stress fracture at one point, scapular contusion. I mean, there's gonna be when you got guys like this that's when we're talking about legacies and long term. I think that's something that you have to like really keep in mind here. But otherwise, he's a no-brainer. This is the guy. He is him.
Yeah. I mean, he's going one, obviously. He's going to be It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to live up to that hype. I think, honestly, he's probably got less, and I hate LeBron, but less pressure than LeBron in some ways because Americans especially, I mean, yeah, there wasn't all the social media out there, but LeBron was like all over ESPN. He was like, they talked about him on SportsCenter all the time, and not that they haven't talked about Wembanyama, they have, but it feels slightly different.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't get over an 8-foot wingspan though. He weighs 230 pounds. That should just be in his arms, Chris. I don't know. Where's the rest of his body?
Yeah, he's just a freak. I don't know. I mean, look at some of these. Just this.
He is going against little people.
Little people.
Right now.
There's a lot of little people in the NBA compared to 7'4".
But do you see anybody that would like physically dominate him? Because he's gonna have a problem with that. You can't play him at center. You can't. Not early on. Maybe later on in his career when he bulks up a little.
I mean,
early on,
it depends.
It would just be wrong.
I mean,
I guess it depends on who you're playing against.
It depends on
like
who you're playing against.
The Warriors and they have like Draymond at center. Sure.
I have a feeling too how much offensively he's going to be a factor in the sense that like pulling people away from the hoop. I mean, we know that. I mean, he could probably get some guys in foul trouble. I mean, Jokic, I think, might have just from the pure length standpoint, might have a little bit of a struggle against a guy like that, getting into foul trouble potentially, trying to keep up with. I mean, he's more athletic, obviously, than Jokic, but I mean, he's got a little bit of everything. A little he's got some good touch. I mean, just the handles right here, just turn around. I mean, nothing but net. Some of the tools in his bag.
And he has some off foot shots already where he shoots off the wrong foot in like a weird way, like only Europeans seem to do.
Like right here, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Oh. Oof. Some of his highlights are just, you don't think they exist.
Yeah, he's going to be a tough guard. But I think he's going to have issues on the other side.
Yeah, defensively, as weird as it sounds, given his size and blocking, I mean, you pull him away from the rim. I mean, that's the whole how you get rid of Rudy Gobert and some of these other guys. But You pull him away from the rim, you open up the lane, and then he's kind of becomes a liability because he's, not able to drop back into coverage as easily. But the positives outweigh the negatives by a long shot when it comes to this kid. He's playing against the little kids league right now. Wow.
I mean, everyone seems like a little kid next to him for sure. But I'd also argue these guys are all like, I haven't seen like anywhere near a 7-footer in these games.
Now
like you got a bunch of like 6'9" guys.
The NBA though is definitely you have a little bit more space to work than a lot of these European leagues for sure. Like, that's another thing that a lot of the European players come over. Luka and Jokic and all these guys have come over and said like it's more physical and there's less space because the lane's more clogged up and you don't have as much to work with. But it's a lot easier to score in the NBA, so to speak. But we'll see. He moves better than Porzingis, but an interesting observation there.
Better off the dribble than Porzingis. Better shot maker. But yeah, there's some similarities there.